is Marie Samaggio. We are going into April, week 2 of 4, so super excited. But without further ado, we do have a very special guest on with us today. We have Keith. And Keith, how do I say your last name? Because I'm going to completely butcher it.
It's Laferriere.
Laferriere. So we have Keith Laferriere on with us today. If you don't know, now you know. But super excited. Top telesales producer, Hall of Fame producer, and has been absolutely crushing it. So just really excited. And Keith, just to kind of intro the call, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what you were doing prior to Family First Life, and kind of what got you involved with the industry.
Yeah, perfect. It's always great to be on these calls. Anybody who shows up to listen to me, it's always a blessing. Coming from the background that I came from, I was in construction for a good majority of my life. How that led into the insurance business is that about 8 years ago, actually no, almost 10 years ago now, I got into fire, water, and storm damage, doing restoration work for insurance companies. So what I found out is that the insurance companies pay very well for that type of business, and it got my brain going. And I was like, what else can I do in insurance that I don't have all this stress and all these overhead and all this extra work to feed my family? Right. So I found out that someone in my church group was doing life insurance, and I followed him on Facebook, and I literally seen how much he was making, because that's back when we could post numbers and how much of the dollar signs are going into our bank account. And I called him and I was like, hey, I see what you're doing over there. And, me being the confident person I am, I'm like, I know I could do this, and I could probably do it better than you. So show me what you're doing. So just in that construction mindset and that attitude is just like, give me the tools, get out of my way, I'll get it done. So I went and met with him and sat down. We got a cup of coffee. I didn't even drink my coffee or didn't even touch it. And I was like, Chadwick, give me exactly what to do and when to do it and how to get started. And I left there within like 5 minutes and went and got started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I gotta pause you right there because you said a lot there, but it's crazy because everybody comes from such a different background, right, Keith? And you said it was water, storm damage, and kind of got you thinking, okay, these insurance companies pay out a lot, or whatever that looked like. You saw the financial gain for your family. And then you saw somebody who you knew that was doing life insurance, and you were like, what's the deal? And I love how you said, the confident person that I am, I said, if he could do it, I could do it better than you, right? Because that comes into play now here too in the current, day and time as well. And that was a mindset thing. Just like you said, construction, give me the tools, I'll do it. Same thing here. You came in, you said, these are the tools, and I'm going to do it. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%.
Love it. Great mindset. And then, Keith, when you came in, were you predominantly in-home telesales? Tell us a little bit about what that looked like.
Well, actually, the first meeting was actually at your office that I attended. That's where I met Eric Schmidt, and then we were all down in the basement room, and there was a lot of people down that little room. And I was like, all right, so there's a bunch of more people doing that locally around. But I just wanted to say that, you guys were the first office that I went and met people and got around to, and got into the Family First Life family.
Yeah.
And I lost my spot there. Sorry.
No, you're good. So I'm happy that you're at that office opening and you were able to just kind of have that exposure, right? Because it was one more proof of concept that if all these fools can do it, I can do it too, right?
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, it was. I remember your question. Now, it was. Yeah, when I first started, I was definitely doing the in-home dialing and setting appointments. It took me about a good 3 months. It was after when I came down to the meeting down there and really got, hey, there's people here who are going to support me, and there's actually local people around. And that's really what kind of took off from there.
I love it. And you at that time you were in home, and now you're all telesales 100%. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you hit Hall of Fame, was it for the first time this past year?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations. That's awesome. No doubt though that you could do it. But with that being said, what are some things, Keith, that you feel like agents should consider when they're thinking of going on like a full telesale model, like versus in-home?
I always try to push newer agents to get in the home at least the first couple months, 8 weeks or so, because you learn so much faster. You know what I mean? Knees to knees with somebody, you know, you're going to get less objections. You're going to get more of a feel of the business and what we actually do as life insurance agents. You know what I mean? That's protecting that family, protecting that home, you know what I mean, and getting that family dynamic. And from there, it was just taking that, you know, the in-home process, the leave process, and then roll that into doing telesales.
I love that. And I think that it's huge because even coming from somebody who you're now 100% telesales, you're still saying, hey, I think agents should start in the home because you also started in home and probably got a lot of experience and got your feet wet. You know, the kind of people you're going to be talking to, dealing with, and also what are their needs? What are their concerns? Kind of what is that, you know, blue collar working family look like, right? Because everyone's family looks a little bit different. But for the most part, you also started to know your audience, right? And that serves you, I can imagine, a lot through telesales, being on the phone and being able to be like, hey, I was face to face. This is a common kind of pitfall or where it felt kind of awkward. So you're able to kind of course correct there. So that's awesome. And, you know, when you're kind of talk to us a little bit about your schedule doing telesales, does it look obviously different from in-home? And talk to us about what it looks like and why it looks that way for you, Keith.
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest things that I found in this business is your schedule. And then, you know, the consistency in your schedule. You know, you need to be doing the same thing Monday through Friday at the same time to build up that habit. You know what I mean? To build up those good habits so you're definitely doing the same thing over and over again. You know, my schedule starts at 5:30 in the morning. Get up, take care of the family, do what I got to do, get the kids off to school. And then I'm on the phone by at least 8 a.m. And my goal is to be talking to or dialing at least 30 leads per hour, 30 contacts per hour. So then that way, you know, I have a goal that was within my schedule that will keep me focused. That will keep me intentional in my time. You know, so you don't, and I try to eliminate all my distractions. I literally undownload any social media apps on my phone. Just so when I'm sitting there, I don't go just in a natural reaction just to go push it and then go scroll Facebook for 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing? You know, so when you do telesales, that is, you know, one of the biggest things is that you need to limit your distractions. You know, so you can't have you know, 18 things going on your phone and then your screen and then you're not talking to your customers.
Exactly. And that makes complete sense to me. So like you said, the power of habit, right? So Keith, talk to us a little bit about what that schedule looked like and when you realized, like, okay, for example, I love how you said 30 contacts per hour. It gives you a goal that you're trying to reach, right? So you're not sitting on the phone like, my day's over whenever it could be over right now. It could be over at 9 o'clock. You're having a goal of that 30 contacts per hour. Talk to us a little bit about kind of building that habit up and kind of now what it looks like today, because it's obviously working for you, you know, helping 30, 40, 50, 60 plus families a month.
Yeah, and it's just that it's a progression of over time and learning it, and then, you know, having that flat line to go back to. You know, if you get off schedule, you know where you are in your day to get back to that point. You know, being able to, you know, have those little snippets of goals in between your hours, that really helps us, you know, you stay on track.
Absolutely. Small wins, right?
Yes, and that's really what helped me build up to get to that consistent schedule to run, you know, these crazy numbers per month. You know, it didn't start that way. You know, the first month doing telesales, it was south of 20,000 in that month. You know, 20 families in that month. But
Right.
because I had that schedule and I was winning a little bit and then being intentional in those windows of time, that was able to build up that schedule and build up to where I'm at today. You know, so now today compared to a year ago, it's almost on autopilot. You know, the
Right.
family knows, I know what I'm doing. The people that I'm working with, they know what they're supposed to be doing to be on my team, to be working with me, to hear me every day. So those little things help build you up. You know, you can't go 0 to 100 unless you hit the 1 first. You know, you have to hit 2, 3, 4. You have to build that progression up. And the biggest thing that I did during that time was it's it wasn't great, but I would beat myself up about it. Like, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Instead of looking at the opposite side of it, oh, I did that right. I did this right. And then once I started doing that, started thinking about that, it got me to build up my confidence to be able to help somebody over the phone without having to go see them.
Right. That makes complete sense. And like you said, the power of habit, like right now, like your day's on autopilot, your family knows what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You're not like last night, you weren't like, what am I going to do tomorrow? You know what your schedule looks like. So I love the 30 contacts, per hour. I think that's huge because it gives you those goals incrementally throughout the day. But when we're talking about, for a day, on telesales, do you have an actual any other goals that you're hitting throughout that day, or is it a time goal, like you're going to dial until this time or until you reach this marker? What does that look like for you, Keith?
So my goal per day is to do at least 4 presentations. So within that hour, my goal is to talk to 3 people, be asking one person for banking information, because that's what I consider once you get past the social and all that stuff. Once you ask for banking info, that's when I call it a presentation.
Got it.
My goal is to have at least one of those per hour that I'm asking somebody for their social, to give me their social, and we're getting down to price, and we're getting down to submit an application. It doesn't always work out like that, but with that consistency and building up that work, like the past 3 days now, I've put up goose eggs. I mean, there hasn't been much business on my part, but I know because I did that work 3 days ago, it's going to pay off today or tomorrow or Monday or next Tuesday. So you need to have that schedule consistency that you're going, especially in telesales. I mean, you can fall off real quick. Like I was guilty of it. Like coming back from convention, I was like, all pumped up, and I was like, oh, I got this. And I lacked on my morals a little bit. And I was like, oh crap. You know what I mean? And my guys were like, Keith, what are you doing? What's going on over there? And and then from the top down, Dave Witchard, he's like, where are you, Keith? You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, shook that off and then get back into it.
Right. Power of momentum, right? For sure. And I can see how that would work a lot in telesales. And I love how you say, 4 presentations, and a presentation means that you are asking for that bank information. Yeah. I think that that's really important because a presentation could be defined as somebody picks the phone up. That's not what Keith means. You get through everything all the way to the bank info, essentially looking at it like this person is serious about the business that you're about to do.
Right.
Now, you talked about so the power of habit. I heard a lot of that, right? You even said like, hey, I'm guilty of it. After convention, I came back. I fell off for a week, a month, whatever it was, but I'm back at it. So momentum's huge, right? So like that's working in your favor probably again now. And like you said, too, you said the last 2 days I had goose eggs, right? So like you haven't been able to help anybody out, but you're building up all of the things that you need to do. It's like, as like in this industry, I always say like the insurance gods, like they know what you did and what you haven't done. And if you've done something, aka the work that you're supposed to do each and every day, it's going to pay off. And like you said, Keith, it might not pay off today or tomorrow, but it's going to pay off eventually in your numbers. You might next, week when you pick the phone up, you might have those 4 presentations done by 10 a.m. And you're like, this is why this, industry is so fun, right? So I love that. And then talk to us a little bit about, or if you don't mind, Keith, would you do a role play with me, essentially of hitting on the main important, like, I know that when I go into a home, there's particular things that I'm going to say in the beginning to set the stage, right? And I'm assuming when you get somebody on the phone, you're very intentional about that, especially with the numbers that you're putting up. Will you talk to us a little bit of what that looks like? Or if it's easier, run through a quick mock presentation with me. I won't make your life hard.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is when I get somebody on the phone, I want to know within about 5 to 7 minutes talking to them where they're at. Are we gonna submit an application today? Are we just gonna talk for another 10 minutes and then you hang up on me, or am I gonna submit an application? So the easiest way I do that is the 3 things is that I want to find something that's affordable, that make sure it fits their budget, find something that's comfortable, they make sure they know what the coverage is, what it does, and how it works. And the last thing is my job is to find that carrier that's going to take you on as a client. So if you want to go through, I'm game for that. I love it.
Let's do it.
All right, ring ring.
Hello?
Yeah, hey Marissa.
Yeah, this is her.
Hey Marissa, this is Keith, and I'm giving you a call. Looks like you had filled out the form on Facebook for the mortgage protection insurance plans available in Massachusetts. Got your date of birth is 1/1/86. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, that's correct.
Perfect, perfect. So when you seen that ad on Facebook, what was the biggest thing that jumped out to you? How can I help you out today?
I just wanted to look into it, see if it's the best fit for me and the family.
All right, great.
If I got sick or something.
Perfect. Yeah, I can definitely help you out with that. So the biggest thing I try to accomplish with all of my clients is I need to find something that's affordable. We need to find something that fits your specific budget, because your budget isn't like your neighbor's budget or the guy down the road. We got to make sure it's good for you. Okay. Then the next thing that we need to do is we need to find the right amount of coverage that you are comfortable with, that you know what it's going to do and how it's going to work when it's needed. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right, perfect. And the next thing I need to do is I need to find a carrier based on your health and age that's going to take you on as a client. Okay. So if we can find something that's affordable, you are comfortable with, and you can qualify for, does that sound like something you'd want to apply for today?
Yeah.
All right, perfect, perfect. So let's see here. So Marissa, we had your mortgage rate or your mortgage amount as 200,000. You had 30 years left on that. Did you just purchase that house, or is it a refinance?
It was a refi.
Oh, perfect. All right. So did you get your mortgage rate down?
I did, yeah. It's down to like 2%.
That's awesome. And then what's your house value at?
It would go probably for about 700.
Man, that's great. You guys got some large equity built up in your home there. What's your average monthly mortgage payment?
About 2.
All right, perfect. And then are you putting any money away into savings each month?
Yeah, I save some money every month.
All right. And about how much would that be?
Probably about between like $500 to $700 a month.
Perfect, perfect. And then Marisa, what do you do for work?
I'm an accountant.
Nice. And then we had your age here, 1/1/86. That makes you, I forget.
36.
36. You're pretty smart. And then perfect. So Marisa, are you currently a smoker?
No, I'm not.
All right. Are you on any daily prescribed medications?
No, I don't take any medication.
Okay. Perfect. That's really good to hear. That makes my job so much easier. Now, have you had any major surgeries in the past 10 years?
No.
Okay, perfect. That's really good to hear. So I'm going to hit on a few health questions real quick here based off your information. It sounds like they're all going to be a no, but I still have to ask them, being the insurance agent and being regulated by the state. Any issues with heart attack, cancer, or stroke?
No.
Any issues with diabetes, high blood pressure, or asthma or COPD?
No.
Okay. Any issues with anxiety or depression that you're currently on medication for?
No.
Okay. And then any kidney or liver disease?
No.
Perfect. So this is making my job a little bit easier. Now, the next thing is, Marisa, who would be that person that something happened to you yesterday that I'd be calling today to take care of your final affairs, your final expenses?
Probably my sister.
Awesome. Awesome. And what's their first and last name? I get all their information, phone number, I go dig a little bit deep in there. And then now, if something was to happen to you yesterday, where would your family be if you didn't get protection today?
I think I have something at work, but I mean, so I hope that would go to them. But outside
Great.
of that, that's what I got.
Great. Those work benefit plans are really good, but that is a part of your job and part of your work. So if you were to leave, or if your job was to leave you, where would that leave you guys? So this is where I recommend all my clients, they go ahead and use that work benefit, but also get something that you pay for, that you know what it is, that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Perfect. Now, do you have anything that would act like life insurance, a 401k, IRA, stock, bonds, mutual funds, or anything like that?
I have a 401k I'm still contributing to.
Awesome. So we can help you out with that. Let's go ahead and put a note there for that. And then you have work insurance. All right. Now, what most people want to do is they want to put something in place today. So if you if you died or became disabled, the money would come into the family tomorrow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run up 3 different options for you. We're going to do a full mortgage payoff. We're going to do a 50% mortgage payoff, and then we'll do a 50-50. So that'd be a 50% mortgage payoff for half of the mortgage term. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
it does.
All right. So, and then from there, I'll go down and break down, what they're looking at for costs. But if you want to throw some objections at me.
Yeah, so how much is this gonna cost, Keith, before we go any further?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I get that a lot. The biggest things that we got to do is we got to go through this the application process here and get most of your information into the system. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get you pre-qualified. So what that means is they're going to take a look at your prescriptions, they're going to take a look at your driving record, they're going to take a look at your criminal history. And based off of those 3 bits of information, we'll go ahead and see if we can get you pre-qualified. And how they do that is based off of your driver's license, your place of birth, and your social security number. We're going to take that number, or we're going to take that information, put it into the computer. I'll get it all worked up, and we're either going to send you an email to get you pre-qualified or a text message with a code. Does that make sense?
It does, yes. And Keith, no disrespect, but how do I know, like that this is legit?
Well, yeah. So in the beginning of our before our appointment here, you should have seen the reminder that I sent you over, and in there you'll see my state of Massachusetts health and life insurance license. As long as in company with that, you'll see my company badge, so you can see my doofy picture there. And also on there, you should be able to click a link, and that link should bring you to the state of Massachusetts insurance bird, the Bureau of Insurance, to go ahead and check my license number to make sure I'm active and that I'm really an actual life insurance agent. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it does. I see that here now. Okay, got it, Keith. Okay. And what would you say now, Keith? What would you say the biggest objections that you had in the beginning that maybe you're now better at overcoming?
It's just that objection right there. It was like, how do I know you're legit? How do I know you're real? And
I like that you put a
I
link in there.
oh yeah. So whatever state it is, so the the National Insurance Association Commissioner's website there has so many states, but some states are outside of that. So you're gonna know what states and what's not. If you start with a smaller amount of states, you know what you're doing there. But I always send that out to them as soon as I confirm my appointment. I want to send them my license so they know that I'm licensed. They want to see my picture so that I'm a real human. So when they're talking to me, they can hear my voice. And then, just send them the link. Just send them something else they can click on, and they can go in and put the information in, and then they can see and read that it's active.
Love it. And then social security number. I'm sure that can be a hang up at times. I know how you just said it to me, and that made complete sense to me. Like, hey, we're gonna but do you have folks that say like, well, Keith, like, do I really have to give you my social?
Yeah, unfortunately, we really have to get your social because that's tied back to your health records and your prescription background. So without that, we won't be able to go through and get you pre-qualified. We won't be able to find a good rate for you guys. So they check your driver's license for your driving record. They check your place of birth for your citizenship, and then, like I said, the health is tied back to your social security number.
Okay, that makes sense. Perfect. And Keith, you essentially, so it sounds like you're overcoming everything on the front end. Even on the phone, you're making sure you're basically getting everything out so that they're not coming at you with these things on the back end. Like you said, right when you confirm the appointment, they're getting all that information, boom, right there, right there, right there. So I love that. And then in terms of when you're closing, is there anything that you asked rather in the beginning to make sure that they are equipped to receive a text message, an email, or is that simply because you're sending that information out, that they're able to receive it?
Yeah, I most of the clients they've already received something, already got text messages, emails from me, but in the beginning it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different first getting started in telesales.
Because you're going to find your groove, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And my biggest thing when I started is I would oversend information. Like
Talk to us a little bit about that.
I'm working in Massachusetts. I'm like, oh, sorry, I sent you my Maryland license. Sorry about that. Or I'd be like, oh, hey, oh, wait, did you see my driver's license in there too? I guess I sent you that too. It's got my address on there if you want to come over for coffee later. You know what I mean? And I would hold back my driver's license a lot of time to when I'm asking for that banking info. So when I got you all set up, like, hey, it's going to be $200 a month, $200,000 in benefit for 30 years. Now, Marisa, what we got to do to get this submitted, they're going to need a copy of a voided check, which would include your routing and account number. Which bank do you guys use?
Citizens.
Perfect. So we are partnered with all the banks in the state of Massachusetts. So I'll be able to get that routing number pretty quickly up here. Which branch did you start your bank account in?
Right out of Boston.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so I'll be able to get that here. So all we need now is just your account number.
Okay. And then you just wait.
And you just go silent.
Got it.
Yep. Yep.
Love it.
Yeah. And then if I get more pushback, I have it loaded in my phone. I'm ready to send them front and back copy of my actual driver's license. I know some people a little bit uncomfortable about that, but where I am in the state of New Hampshire, there's not many people around. If you want to come see me, you got to drive a few hours, and I'm not a small guy, so it would be a little bit different for a younger female to send out their address and things like that. So that's where I'm a little bit different, but most people just want to know that you're real, that they care, you know what I mean, and that you can help them,
Absolutely. And I love that. Talk to us a little bit about your lead flow, what that looked like, whether that was when you first got into telesales or what that looks like today, if it looks a bit different.
Oh yeah, it's completely different. So when I first got into telesales, I hammered 3 months instant internets, like on phone
Why'd you
burner,
do that?
because there's abundance of them. They're so easily, and when I first started, I would run my instant internets on the phone burner on my computer. And at the same time, I was dialing mortgage protection off of my phone. So I was tripling what I was doing. So yes, I was spending, about $1,000-$1,200 a week between the mortgage. That was when the mailers were really great. And then the instant internets, the 1 in 3 months, you buy 100, you get like 2 or 3 policies out of it. You're in the black, you're making money off them, but it's a turn and burn cycle. Right.
Right.
Whereas in now, I have 3 exclusive Facebook ad campaigns set up directly from my Facebook ad campaign. I have one for mortgage protection. I have one for final expense. And then I have a new one that just came out, and it's really hot. It's for veteran leads. So it's targeting a niche within life insurance. So now I spend about the same, but they're all exclusive to me. So when they come in, they come onto my spreadsheet, they drop into a Go High Level platform. They get a text message within about 60 seconds to 2 minutes. And then there's a whole follow-up 4 or 5 days. They can keep dripping on these people.
Love it. So you came in with the abundance mindset, the at-bat mindset.
Yes, exactly. And that's what you got to do. From going from in the field to telesales, you almost have to double your lead flow until you get your handle on, and then once you get, and you can break down your numbers and reverse engineer to what you want to do, then hey, I buy 100 of these, this is the average. I buy 100 of these, this is the average. I get 10 of these mortgages, I know the average on those, you know what I mean? So, and then it's really just breaking down, tracking your numbers and keeping track of what you're doing.
Right. It becomes a big metrics game at that point. Love it. So
phone burner is great for that in the beginning. It helps you track everything. It keeps you honest. It keeps you on moving. It tells you how many minutes you dialed, how many dials you made, how many talks you had. And that's huge, because that's the platform that I still use to this day, is those metrics. So
right.
I just copy that and put it in a spreadsheet, and then I just, continue on.
So you know how to play your numbers backwards, right? So just like if you were in the home, you can play your numbers backwards by dials. Who did you sit with? Who no-showed you, etc. You're doing the same thing just on the telesales side. And that's huge, because when you have your metrics, like, you can't be dramatic about it. Just like you said, you had, the last 2 days weren't your best days, but it's like, your metrics, it's going to work out. But you're just waiting. You got your nose out of the way, right? And now, what does your lead flow look like, today or now? You're just implementing more mortgage, but same cost? Would you say higher, lower?
It's about the same cost. It's a pretty good average. Usually final expense leads off of Facebook come in fast. They're a lot faster, much cheaper, like $6 to $8. Mortgage protection we're running on there, it's about 18 to 22. And then the veterans I just started about a week ago, so I don't really have a good handle on that yet. But on average, I'm trying to get 20 to 30 new leads per day. So that's what I want, new stuff coming in. And then if I have that many coming in from yesterday, people I didn't get a hold of, that's where I get my 30 per hour that I want to be calling.
Love it. And when you're trying to connect with 30 people in an hour, do you feel like that's like do something that when you're replicating that to your team? So like, let's say I'm just getting started with you, Keith, and I'm doing telesales. Maybe I was in home for a couple months and I'm like, I want to get this telesales thing going. What are you telling me to get started on lead wise and why?
Going from in-home to telesales.
Or just like as a brand new agent, I'm coming in telesales. How are you getting me started? What lead types?
Definitely everything off of the CRM.
And why?
Because they're so abundant and they're not expensive. They're inexpensive and there's so many of them. So when you open up a telesales, you're not just doing your one state, your one county. You can do. I think it's like 40 states now. So you figure that 40 states with all of those leads in there. Now I just up my numbers of helping people like by a bazillion, but yeah, exactly. So you're going to get, if in the beginning, they're right there. Like you don't have to go and start a mail campaign. You don't have to start a Facebook ad campaign. They're readily available. You know what I mean? You can watch the CRM and see when they're coming in, when they drop from instant internet leads down to 1 month. Once you get to know that system and when you know when it's going to drop, that's when you purchase. Same thing with any mailers. You know when they're going to drop from when they're paying $36, $30, $43 for final expense, when they're going to drop down to 1 month. Like if you're in the game and you know these things, you're gonna increase your chances to sell business.
Absolutely. And that's all just through repetition and just actually being plugged into the game. And I love how you say you start people on all ILC leads and also that you started that way, because I think it's important that no matter if you're in home, you're telesales, you're both, that you do have to get punched on the face in the phone. Like you do have to realize that not everybody is going to tell you yes. Yeah. Not everyone is as nice to Keith or to me, by the way, as I just was in that mock presentation, right?
Right.
Keith, is that fair?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, 100%.
Definitely not.
Yeah, even the good buyers, they still want to know. You know what I mean? What's right. This? Why is that? Who's this? Who's that? You know what I mean? You gotta confidently speak that to them over the phone, because how easy just to hit the red button. Okay, I'm done with him. Bye.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you need to be taking care of that on the front end. So, like when we get to that point, if there's a couple ejections, be like, hey, you said in the beginning, if I could find this, and this, we're going to do this. What happened?
Right.
And then challenge your customer a little bit.
Absolutely. Just like you would in the home, right? Yep. So I love that. And then just a couple other quick questions, so coming into the business, what do you feel like how many families on average, Keith, would you say you're helping on a monthly basis right now?
40.
About 40?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're helping about 10 families a week, at least.
Yeah.
Okay. And it wasn't always like that. Is that fair?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what do you think's the biggest thing that changed in your business from going from 21 to 22, hitting Hall of Fame through telesales? Like, what do you feel like was the biggest thing that changed for you or for your business or both?
That's a good question. The biggest thing that changed for me was just that repetition and then getting better each time I talk to someone. Be like, oh, they hung up on me because of that. I should try to tweak it a little bit this way. You know what I mean? And then reach out for help and be like, hey, I said A, B, and C on the phone. They hung up on me. What should I say now? You know what I mean? And then you can go through that a little bit with your manager, and take 3 to 5 minutes and do that. And to be honest with you, I didn't really do that. I just figured it out myself. But being that person that didn't have anybody there in the beginning, because I'm a little bit introverted and it doesn't seem that way, but most of the time I am. But you need to do that. So now I'm that person where I'm on my team, like, hey, you got hung up on there. Why did you get hung up on there? Let's tweak that a little bit. Let's figure out why, so the next time you can confidently say to this person and keep them on the phone.
I love that. And I love hearing essentially like the ability to course correct, right? Because a lot of people would would quit, Keith, right?
Yep.
Like, let's all
Yep.
be honest. Like,
Yep.
we see agents leave because they have one bad dial day. Like, to me, that's so confusing. I'm like, you did everything, you know what I mean? However, it's almost like what you just said, the ability to reach out, right? Like, I'm really introverted myself. Over the years, I had to learn to reach out. It's still not my you know, easiest trait, I should say. However, I've learned that if you don't reach out, it makes your life harder. So just like you said, Keith, you're like, I figured it out, but now I'm the person who's in there saying, hey, why'd you get hung up on? Because you know that you weren't reaching out saying, hey, I keep saying this, I'm getting hung up on. You were just course correcting yourself, right? But you still took massive action, which is awesome. So would you say just kind of being able to take massive action, course correct, and now also being the person that others are reaching out to has helped your ability to just level up in 2022 and, you know, moving forward too.
Yeah, 100%. That, and the guys that I'm working with and helping me, they keep me even more accountable. You know what I mean? Because
And
now
talk to us,
I have
like,
to
what does
show
that
up.
look like? Like, do you have a dial team?
Oh yeah, yeah. We moved everything over to Discord.
Yep.
And we're all in Discord, and that's exactly what we do. You know what I mean? There's usually like 10 of us in the room, all dialing, and then if you get somebody on the phone, we drop down. And if you're a newer agent, I'll follow you down there, or my other guy, Colby, he'll follow you down there, and we'll sit there in silence. You know what I mean? And if we kind of feel it going astray, hey, mute. Let me help you. Let's say this, and this. Okay, cool. You got it. Go. We'll get back on the phone. You know what I mean?
Love it.
Yeah, and then in you know, with the newer agents, that sometimes they're not as confident on the phone. So when I get them going, I actually send them my script, a voice recording of me doing a presentation, and it's one long drawn out text message. It's a voice to text message, and it's like probably like 10,000 words, and you actually have to go through that, listen to the script, and then break it out. Be like, this is what Keith said. This is what they said. Why is that word like that? You know what I mean? And then actually have them go through it. And then I give them 1 hour to do it. Like, if you don't call me back in an hour, like, you might be up here on my list of people to help, but you're going to go down. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want to see that you're
so
intentional. And then once they get off of that, they call me, and then we run through 3 role plays. First one, I'm a lay down. Yes. Okay. Yep. Okay. This is exactly. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is great. $200. Great. And the next one, I'm going to be that third of people that we need to work to that make us top producers. You know, you get that third of people that just lay down. Yeah, I need the insurance. Okay, great, Keith. Whoever, anybody could have sold to them. But that second third of people, that's the people that take you from, you know, 10, 15 to 40, 60, 80 and beyond. So you need to learn how to get those objections and how to be confident about that when you're going through that, you know, with that, with the role play. And I literally have them at the end of that third one. I hammer them, and I hammer them, and I hammer them like they want to cry. You know what I mean? And then as soon as they're done that, get on the phone, start dialing people. And I will take my newer leads for my newer guys now, and I'll have them start working on those so they can get, you know, a policy submitted, get that money in the bank account, because when it gets in the bank account, that's when it becomes real, and you're seeing what you're doing. You know what I mean? It puts it all together. You know, Josh Williams explained it the best, is that it's the insurance circle of life, right? We buy leads, we dial the leads, we submit a policy, and we need to get paid. So I want all of those things happening within the first week of you starting with me. You know what I mean? So if I have to pull someone from my bag, then I'm like, hey, I know this dude's a close right here. I'm gonna put my newer agent on it. Hey, you're gonna help out this guy, A, B, and C. I know he's gonna buy, and then they get paid. And then their excitement goes from here, and it's like through the roof.
You know, and their confidence too,
and
right?
Then, yes. And then you got that agent, and he's like, dude, I could do this. You know what I mean? Compared to like, oh, I had 3 bad days. And just, you know, you're starting to lose them. And you're like, hey, I can only talk you off the ledge so many times. You know, and me, who I am, and being from the Northeast, is like, if you don't listen the first 3 times, dude, I'm kicking you off the building. Like, get out of my way. Like, I will not stop. Like, get out of my way. You know, so it's really been at first, you know, the first 2 months of telesales, I was so until someone said, why are you having fun? Like, have fun on the phone, laugh with these people. If you get like don't be so serious all the time, because that's just it's gonna draw down your intentions. It's just gonna make you easily distracted. In having a group of people that you're working with on Zoom or in the office, I found that telesales in a group office setting is so great. When you got a whole group of people that's all running business in the same room, table to table, and these lock-ins that are coming up, what I mean? They're so great. What I mean? You get people, not saying me, but people like us, Hall of Fame producers that know what they're doing, been in the business for a bit, and you're actually physically helping the person. And like, hey, mute, say this, and this. Take a deep breath, smile, and then get back in there. What I mean? It's just like a coach on the sideline. Hey, you struck out this time. Okay, bud, you're all right, man. Get back out there, play the field, come back out, and the next round up, you get a hit.
Right. And I love that. That's huge. How you talked about, hey, I send them the recording. They need to break it down, send it back in an hour. If not, I know that they're not as intentional as maybe they had the number one on my list. But I know that they're not going to be that number one. And then you have them also role play those 3 times. The first time, hey, let's make sure you can get through the words. Basically, I'm going to give you all yeses. Second time, that 1/3 of people who's not really going to buy from, that needs a little bit of a push, right? And then the last group of people, if you will, that are just going to basically come up with 21 reasons why they don't need the insurance, don't want it, even though they just told you 21 reasons why they did in the beginning. Yep. So I think that that's really important. And like you said, getting on dial teams, whether you're doing telesales or you're in home, it's like get yourself around people. Because just like Keith said, when somebody can correct you on the spot, it's way different than when somebody corrects you 3 months later. It's like, okay, so I've been doing this wrong for 3 months and like nobody could have told me. It's like hop on the dial team and have somebody else let you know. And the lock-ins are great, guys. If you see those going on anywhere around you, I encourage everybody to get there. And honestly, to have fun. That's what just got me too, Keith, because sometimes it can feel mundane. You're doing the same thing every single day over and over and over again. And you're just like, is this ever going to be over? And then it's like, well, you may look at it like, well, I could be doing physical labor right now. And I'm not, so I'm having a good time, right? Yep. Like I look at it like, I could be bartending or serving tables and not going home till 3 a.m. So like, let's help some families, you know what I mean? Right. And I think that that's important, guys. Keep it fun. And I think that that's an awesome tip. And just to kind of wrap things up, Keith, what are your goals? We're a quarter into, 2023. What are your goals for this year, whether that's for yourself personally, for your group, or both?
For me personally, it's definitely it's 600.
Awesome.
And then for my team, I need the team to be at least 2 million for the year.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, no doubt at all that you will absolutely be well past Hall of Fame this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing you hit that here in a couple of months. And no doubt that your group's growing too. The way that you're coaching and mentoring agents, I think, is amazing. Plugging everybody in, guys. So stay plugged in. It's not a game. Any parting thoughts before we hop off, Keith?
Yeah, some of the biggest things that I've been in that helped me was to remove those negative people. Whether it be an agent on there and be like, this is dumb, this is dumb, you know what I mean? Or it'd be like, okay, I'm not working with you anymore. Or negative influences in your life. You just want to move away from that. And then really just talk to people that are in the business. You know what I mean? These conversations and these things, like, you guys don't even know how much this does for me. Because just hearing myself saying these things, I wrote down like 6 notes. I'm like, I need to fix that. I need to switch that. I need to do this a little bit better. This is why I'm not doing this now. So the more you talk to the people that are in the business, that are in the grind with you, especially if you're coming in and you got somebody that's at the same level as you, like when you and your sister came in the business, like you guys came in at the same level and kind of you guys been growing together. So if you can get a partner like that and be like, okay, dude, let's get after this thing. You know what I mean? With those 2 things, getting rid of negative people and getting around the people that are in the business that are issuing business. There's so many of us around the country that will just literally help you as long as you ask for the help.
I love it. So remove negative people, guys, negative influences, and talk to people in the business, because also, guys, this is not the type of business that it's not a pizza shop. And by the way, a pizza shop could be, you know, a lot more in depth than this is. My point is, and kind of what I think your point, Keith, too, is if you're not in this business, you don't understand it. It's almost like smoky mirrors in clouds. Like you're like, what are you even talking about? So get around people who are actually doing things in this business, right? Because there's a lot of people on the sidelines that you can find and complain with, but guess what? You're going to become one of them. So decide, pick your crowd, right?
Yeah,
So
and you'll remain broke.
and you will remain broke. That is actually that is a fact. So